I thought Thanksgiving dinner was supposed to be about gratitude, family, and happiness. I was wrong. That night, my own family gathered around the table, not to celebrate my engagement, but to convince me to end it. My mother told me I was making the biggest mistake of my life. My sister looked at my fiancé like she had already won. They believed I would stay quiet and do whatever they wanted. What they didn't know was that my fiancé had discovered everything they had been hiding from me. And when he finally spoke, the entire room went silent. I still remember the sound of the forks hitting the plates that Thanksgiving night. It was such a small sound, but somehow it felt louder than anything else happening in that room. Everyone was sitting around the table, smiling, passing food, and pretending everything was normal. But I could feel something was different. My name is Emily Carter, and I was 29 years old when my family tried to take away the future I had spent years building. For the first time in my life, I had found someone who made me feel completely understood. His name was Daniel, and we had been together for 4 years before he asked me to marry him. He wasn't the kind of person who tried to impress people with money or status. He was patient, loyal, and he believed in me even during the moments when I doubted myself. When Daniel proposed, I thought my family would be happy for me. I imagined my mother crying tears of joy, my sister hugging me, and everyone celebrating the fact that I had finally found someone who truly loved me. But I was wrong. My mother, Linda, had always been difficult to understand. She loved me, but she had a strange way of showing it. She constantly compared me to my younger sister, Rachel. No matter what I achieved, Rachel somehow became the person everyone talked about. Rachel was always the favorite. She was charming, confident, and knew exactly how to get people on her side. Growing up, I ignored the little comments she made about my choices because I believed sisters were supposed to support each other. But after I announced my engagement, something changed. Rachel started asking questions about Daniel. At first, I thought she was just curious. "Are you sure he's the right person?" she asked one evening. I laughed because I thought she was joking. "Why wouldn't he be?" She looked away and simply said, "I don't know. I just think you deserve someone better." I didn't understand what she meant at the time. Now, sitting at that Thanksgiving table, I finally understood. Dinner had barely started when my mother placed her glass down and looked directly at me. "Emily, we need to talk about your engagement." The entire table went quiet. I looked around, confused. "About my engagement? What do you mean?" My mother sighed as if she was about to deliver bad news. "We think you're making a mistake." I felt my stomach tighten. "Who is we?" Nobody answered immediately. Then Rachel smiled. That smile told me everything. "Mom and I have been talking," she said. "And we both think you need to reconsider marrying Daniel." I stared at her, waiting for her to laugh and admit this was some kind of misunderstanding. But she didn't. My own sister looked completely serious. "Rachel, what are you talking about?" I asked. She leaned back in her chair. "Emily, don't be stubborn. Sometimes people can't see what's right in front of them." My mother reached across the table and touched my hand. "We're only saying this because we love you." But deep down, I knew this wasn't about love. This was about control. They weren't asking me for my opinion. They were telling me what decision they expected me to make. And then Rachel said the words that changed everything. "Honestly, Emily, I think Daniel was always meant for someone like me." The room went completely silent. And for the first time, I realized this wasn't just about my engagement. My family had been planning something much bigger, and they expected me to simply give up the person I loved. For a few seconds, nobody moved. My sister's words hung in the air like a heavy cloud. I looked at Rachel, waiting for some kind of explanation, waiting for her to laugh and say she was joking. But she didn't. Instead, she looked almost confident, like she had been waiting for this moment. My mother avoided looking at me. She stared down at her plate, pretending to be uncomfortable, but I could see it clearly. This conversation had not happened by accident. They had planned it. "You two have been talking about this?" I asked quietly. My mother's expression changed. "Emily, please don't make this dramatic." Dramatic. That was the word she chose. Not hurtful, not unfair. Dramatic. As if my entire future was just an inconvenience. I pushed my chair back slightly. I can't believe you're both sitting here telling me to give up the person I love. Rachel crossed her arms. We're trying to save you from making a mistake. No, I replied. You're trying to make the decision for me. Before anyone could respond, the sound of the front door opening stopped the conversation. Everyone froze. My heart skipped when I heard footsteps approaching the dining room. Then Daniel appeared in the doorway. The look on his face told me everything. He had heard enough. Daniel, I whispered. He looked at me first, not angry, not disappointed, just hurt that I had been sitting there alone while my family attacked the future we were building together. Then he looked at my mother and Rachel. I guess I arrived at an interesting time. Nobody spoke. My mother immediately stood up. Daniel, this isn't what it looks like. He gave a small, calm smile. Actually, Linda, I think it's exactly what it looks like. Rachel's confidence disappeared. How long were you standing there? Daniel didn't answer her question immediately. Instead, he walked over and placed a small folder on the table. I heard enough. My eyes moved from the folder to his face. Daniel, what is that? He looked at me. Something I should have shown you earlier. My stomach tightened. For a moment, I wondered if there was something else I didn't know. But then Daniel opened the folder. Inside were printed messages, texts, emails, conversations between him and Rachel. I felt my entire body go cold. What is this? Daniel took a breath. Your sister contacted me several months ago. I looked at Rachel. She immediately looked away. She told me that you weren't ready for marriage, Daniel continued. She said you had doubts about our relationship and that I deserved someone who was more confident and successful. My sister shook her head. That's not what I said. Daniel calmly turned the papers around. Those are your exact words. The room became silent again. I picked up one of the pages. I read the messages myself. Rachel had been slowly planting doubts. She told Daniel that I was too focused on work, that I wasn't serious about building a future, that maybe he should think about someone who understood him better. Someone like her. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Why didn't you tell me? I asked Daniel. His expression softened. Because I didn't want to hurt you without knowing the truth. I wanted to believe there was another explanation. I wanted to believe your sister was just being protective. He looked at Rachel. But she wasn't. Rachel finally spoke. You don't understand. Daniel shook his head. No, Rachel. I understand perfectly. My mother looked embarrassed. Daniel, we are family. We can work through this. He looked at her and said something I would never forget. Family is supposed to protect your happiness, not compete with it. Those words hit harder than anything else. Because they were true. For years, I thought my family knew what was best for me. But that night, I realized they only wanted what they thought was best for themselves. Then Daniel reached into the folder and pulled out one more document. He placed it on the table. And when my mother saw what it was, the color disappeared from her face. Because the truth he was about to reveal was something none of them expected. The dining room was completely silent after Daniel placed the document on the table. A few moments earlier, my family had been so confident. They believed they had already decided my future for me. They thought they could sit me down, tell me that Daniel wasn't the right person, and somehow convince me to walk away from the man I loved. But now, nobody looked confident anymore. Daniel didn't raise his voice. He didn't insult anyone. He didn't need to. He simply stood there, calm and collected, while everyone waited to hear what he had to say. This is something I wanted to share with Emily first, he said. But after everything that happened tonight, I think everyone needs to hear it. I looked at him confused. Daniel, what is this? He opened the folder slowly and pulled out several documents. For a second, I thought maybe there was another problem, another secret, another painful surprise waiting for me. But then I saw the expression on his face. It wasn't anger. It was pride. I've been working on something for the past year, he explained. My family listened carefully. Daniel told us that after years of experience in his field, he had decided to take a risk and build something of his own. He had spent months creating a business plan, meeting with investors, and working late nights to turn his idea into reality. And now, after months of negotiations, his company had secured a major partnership that would completely change his future. My eyes widened when I saw the numbers. This wasn't just a small project. This was a life-changing opportunity. My mother stared at the papers. You never told us about this. Daniel nodded. Because I wasn't doing it to impress anyone. Those words made the room quiet again. He looked at me. I didn't want Emily to love me because of what I could achieve. I didn't want her family to respect me because of money or success. I wanted to know that the people around us cared about who we were, not what we had. I felt tears building in my eyes. Because that was exactly who Daniel had always been. He never bragged. He never tried to prove himself. He showed his love through his actions.
He was there when I was stressed.
He supported my dreams. He celebrated my victories and stood beside me during my failures. Meanwhile, the people who claimed they knew what was best for me were the ones trying to convince me to give him up. My mother finally looked at me. Emily, we just wanted to protect you. I took a deep breath.
No, Mom.
You wanted to control the decision. Nobody responded, because they knew I was right. You never asked me why I loved Daniel. You never tried to understand him. You decided he wasn't enough before you even gave him a chance. Rachel looked uncomfortable. Emily, that's not fair. I turned toward her. Fair? You contacted my fiancé behind my back and tried to make him question our relationship. Her face changed.
She didn't deny it.
Because she couldn't. Daniel looked at Rachel and said quietly, I wanted to believe you were just being protective. I wanted to believe there was a misunderstanding. But you weren't trying to help Emily. You were trying to replace her. Those words finally broke her confidence. For the first time that night, Rachel looked like she understood what she had done. Daniel reached for my hand. Then he looked at my family. Love isn't something people get to vote on. Emily is not a decision you make for her. She is a person who gets to choose her own happiness. That sentence stayed with me forever. Because for years, I had tried so hard to make everyone else happy that I forgot my own happiness mattered too. That night, I walked out of my family's house holding Daniel's hand. Nobody stopped us. Nobody had anything else to say. And as we drove away, I realized something important. My family tried to take away the person I loved. But instead, they showed me exactly why I needed him in my life. Because the right person doesn't ask you to become smaller. The right person reminds you who you truly are. And that Thanksgiving night, I finally chose myself.